Hello, thanks for joining me. My name is Kelly Scholl, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the Using and Customizing Student Data tool. Today, we're going to discuss a little bit about how to create a new student record. So go ahead and head over to your Google Drive, where you've copied over the forms in Student Data tool, you've renamed them, and you've connected the forms to the Student Data tool. Go ahead and navigate into your student data tool. In order to create a student record, there's really two things that you need to do. The first is to enter the student's information into the student list. So I'll go ahead and enter my own name here. In addition to my first and last name, I want to enter in the IEP due date and the eligibility due date. This will just help the tool create reminders as things are about to come due, and it's just nice to have all of your information in one piece. Of course, SEDS continues to be the system of record for this information. Okay, so I've gone ahead and entered an IEP due date and an eligibility due date in the student list. You could put in 2 or 20 or 22 or however many students at one time into the student list. One thing I want to note is that it's going to be really important to spell the student's first and last name the same way each time, as this is the key on which forms, the form responses and the dashboard interact. So if I put Kelly Scholl one time and then I put Kelly S another time, or I just write Kel Scholl, the tool isn't going to know that we're talking about the same person. Also important, if people have apostrophes or other things in their name, just to get those right and do it the same way every time. Okay, so that was the first step. Pretty simple, just to enter this information into the student list. The next thing that we want to do is we want to make a copy of this sheet called student name. So we're going to copy it. Sorry, we're not going to copy it. We are going to duplicate it. That was my error. I wish I could say I did that on purpose. We are going to duplicate this sheet, which means that it will stay within this same workbook here in Google Drive. And now it's called copy of student name. You can really call this whatever you would like, but it may be easiest to just call it by the student's name. So now I have a sheet for Kelly Scholl. One thing to know is that, so what you want to do now is you want to fill in all of the light gray boxes again. You want to say Kelly Scholl spelled the same way. The case manager, Mr. Case Manager. The IEP and eligibility due date will populate based on what you put into the student list. And these other fields will populate based on what you put in the form responses. One important thing is that a bunch of these cells are going to have this ref error. And in order to fix that, we just want to click inside the cell and then click enter. And so what this is essentially saying is ref says, wait, who are we supposed to talk to? Now that we've connected the forms and named them appropriately, these references will be able to talk to those forms. We just kind of have to remind them to tell them to try again. Of course, now it says NA because there is we haven't submitted any responses yet. So this is saying like, wait a second, we tried it, it's connecting, but we're not coming up with anything. So as we start to input responses, these NAs will change to the response. But for things that say reference, we just want to go ahead and click enter. These errors are errors because we can't divide by 0, as I'm sure you have told your students many of times. So we're trying to divide here by 0, but that's just because we haven't recorded any reports yet. Once these zeros become 1s, 2s, 3s, as we record our form responses, this error will take care of itself. Additionally, you may want to use this tool to track assessment results and progress towards IEP goals. So these fields under assessment results and progress towards IEP goals do not interact with the forms or any other sheet, but it may be nice to have sort of one-stop shopping with your data here. Once you put in information on IEP goals, these graphs will start to fill out and show you a visual representation of the data. So again, we're going to want to go ahead and do those 2 steps for each student that we want in this tool. We want to put the student's information into the student list, and then we want to go ahead and duplicate this sheet and create a sheet specifically for the student. One question for you and your team is, what is the correct sort of unit of grouping for this tool? Should each classroom have one, each case manager, each school, each LEA? That will be up to you and your team. But as you're making those decisions, it may be helpful to keep in mind that each student will have their own sheet, and a workbook like this with 200 sheets might be a little bit unwieldy. So you might want to think about what the appropriate grain size is there. Okay, so that is it for this tidbit. Again, if you would like more information, OSSE has a Serving Students with Disabilities during periods of remote or blended learning webpage. I suggest that you check that out in order to learn more about this tool, other tools, as well as professional development offerings from OSSE on this subject. Thank you.